Right now in America, 1 in 4 buy now, pay later users are using installment plans to buy groceries. They're not buying clothes or an iPhone, but literally groceries. And more than half of users say they can't make ends meet without these services. People used to finance houses and cars, major assets that appreciated or lasted decades. Now, people are splitting the cost of shampoo into 4 payments. And the instinct is to blame the consumer, to say people are irresponsible, living beyond their means, making bad choices. But when tens of millions of Americans need a financing app just to afford to eat, the problem probably isn't the people. There's a bigger issue underneath it all, and it seems like buy now, pay later just found a way to profit from that desperation. Now, what makes buy now, pay later so powerful isn't the technology, it's the psychology. Instead of paying for something all at once, the cost gets broken down into smaller payments over time. You get approved instantly, often with little to no credit check at all, and it's just one quick, easy tap at checkout. The entire system is designed to do one thing: remove the psychological pain of spending. Handing over $400 upfront feels expensive, but $23 a month doesn't. It's the same product and same total cost, but a completely different emotional experience. And that difference is what turned BNPL into one of the fastest growing payment models in the economy. BNPL didn't explode because tech bro companies invented clever marketing. It exploded because a gap opened between what life costs and what people can afford to pay upfront. And that gap has been widening for years. Since 2020, inflation has pushed the price of everyday goods 30 to 40% above where they were before the pandemic. Home prices have risen far faster than incomes. Credit card debt is at some of its highest levels ever. The average new car payment is now over $700 a month. And total household debt just hit $19 trillion at the end of 2025, the highest levels ever recorded. In that environment, BNPL doesn't feel like a luxury. It just makes sense. When your savings are depleted and your credit card charges 22%, splitting a purchase into 4 payments doesn't feel irresponsible. It feels like the right thing to do. Monthly affordability replaced upfront affordability, not because consumers suddenly changed, but because the economics of daily life did. Now, when BNPL first came out, it started as a checkout option for online shopping. But over time, the installment model spread into nearly every part of consumer life. You're now seeing phones financed over years, furniture, clothing, electronic, vacations, all available in installments at checkout. Software that people used to buy once now comes as subscriptions that never end. Streaming, fitness apps, cloud storage, meal kits. The average American household now spends hundreds of dollars a month on recurring subscriptions alone. And then there are categories that would have been unthinkable a generation ago. Groceries on installment, food delivery on installment, healthcare on installment. Previous generations financed major assets like homes and cars. This generation finances daily life. The product itself almost doesn't matter anymore. What matters is whether the monthly number feels manageable. The economy increasingly sells payments, not products. The sticker price gets replaced by the installment, and over time, ownership starts to feel less like possession and more like a constant stream of small financial obligations. This isn't accidental. The entire system is built around reducing what behavioral economists call the pain of paying. Paying $400 upfront feels legitimately painful, but splitting it into smaller payments spread over weeks tricks your brain into feeling like you paid less even though you know for a fact that you didn't. That shift changes behavior. People spend more when payments feel smaller, and they buy things they would have hesitated to purchase upfront. This is why BNPL increases average order values by 20 to 40%. And it's also why 26% of people say they regretted using it once they realized the full cost. The product doesn't become more affordable. The payments just become less painful. So why has every company suddenly started using installment plans and subscriptions? It's because BNPL increases checkout conversion rates, and that equals to fewer abandoned carts, larger purchases, and more repeat spending. 26% of Americans say they're more likely to buy if BNPL is offered, and merchants willingly pay BNPL providers 2 to 8% of every transaction because the increased volume and order size make up for it. That's why installment plans and subscriptions have spread across nearly every industry, because a customer who pays a company every month is more valuable than a customer who buys something once and disappears. Over time, the goal shifts from selling products to maintaining ongoing payment relationships. The consumer stops being just a buyer and becomes a recurring revenue stream. Even BMW tried to charge its users an $18 a month payment for heated seats, and they only stopped after major backlash. They all want monthly payments. And that's why this model keeps expanding. Companies benefit when spending feels frictionless, investors benefit from steady recurring income, and the system benefits when consumers keep saying yes to another monthly payment, even if those payments quietly stack faster than most people realize. Now, this is where this stops being an individual consumer story and it becomes a bigger economic issue. Because what you have to understand is consumer spending makes up roughly 70% of the American economy. The system doesn't just benefit from people spending money, it depends on it. And increasingly, that spending is being sustained by debt. Total household debt is now approaching $19 trillion. And that includes credit cards, auto loans, student loans, subscriptions, BNPL. Honestly, in many households, financing isn't supplementing income anymore, it's replacing it. Future income is being spent today, and the economy counts that spending as growth. There's a paradox inside of this that rarely gets discussed. The Federal Reserve raises interest rates to slow consumer spending and control inflation. But consumers increasingly shift towards financing tools that keep spending going anyway. Credit cards become too expensive, so people move to installment plans. The economy still gets the consumption it depends on, and households absorb the debt required to sustain it. The system keeps working as long as consumers keep borrowing and spending, but eventually, all of those payments will catch up, and you can't keep financing forever.